Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Brian Zonstacker, Principal of Power Rocks and Chair of this IEEE Future Networks webinar series. And on behalf of myself and the entire IEEE Future Networks technical community team, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. Give us a second, we'll get our slides up and running here. While those are coming up, I just want to let you know that today's webinar is a part of a monthly series from the IEEE Future Networks technical community, which is a major industry initiative with an extensive multidisciplinary team of the world's top industrial and academic experts working together to support the world of 5G and beyond. Oop, there we go. Next slide, please. Yeah, and our working groups, they cover everything from deep technical topics to business and regulatory and socioeconomic factors. And our working groups are split up into categories, which will be reviewed by one of our panelists a little later in the talk. But are also broken out in our homepage where you can find there. So you can see as it's listed there, futurenetworks.ieee.org. And all this is available to you right now by becoming a member of the Future Networks technical community via the link that's shown here. Next slide, please. So today's panel session will give us a broad overview of one of our most exciting annual events, the Future Networks World Forum. So an overview of the 23 event, which was held in Baltimore, Maryland on November 13th to 15th last year. It'll be given by our event leadership, starting with Emery Iranchi. And it'll be given kind of a general overview of the event and the keynotes. And then we'll hear from Iman Haddad to give us more of an overview on the technical program. And then we'll close with Narendra Magna, who will be talking about some of the other kind of ancillary and extra highlights in the program that come with it. And then after those intros, we'll have a panel discussion and a Q&A, which we invite you to participate in. So just know that we've dedicated the last 25 or so minutes to the panel session and interactive Q&A. So we encourage you to submit a question at any time by typing into the Q&A option at the bottom of your screen. Just know if you try and put any questions placed in chat, they will probably not get addressed. So please put it in the Q&A. Please note that our speakers have generously provided their permission to share a PDF of this. So we will make it available within a week. So there's no need to pose this question. And so we can just reserve the questions for content-related questions. And please note that while we're happy to provide a certificate of attendance, we will not be issuing anything for professional development credits or units. And with that, I'm very pleased to introduce our first speaker today. Emery Ianchi is the Senior Director of Engineering in San Diego, focusing on RF front-end ICs and 5G and beyond phones, with over 40 granted patents and pending patents. After experiences at Intel, Broadcom, Marvell, German Aerospace Center, and a startup as a lead designer for 10 to 100 gigabit per second wireline and wireless transceivers. He's the Future Network Steering and Strategy Committee SSCS rep and IEEE YP past chair, MGA SPC Training Strategy lead, Region 6 SPC chair, and SAC vice chair. So obviously he likes giving up a lot of his time to the IEEE, and we thank him for that. He served as several IEEE leadership positions, such as Governance Section Governance Chair, Benelux YP, and Professional Activities Chair and whatnot. He is the author and co-author of several ISSCC and JSSC papers and a data converter book chapter. With that, we welcome Emery. Emery, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks everybody for joining us today for our webinar. So if you move to the next slide, Craig, I'll talk to you about our general statistics of the conference and some of our keynotes. And here are some photos. It was definitely a successful event, and you can see our link. Please feel free to visit to get more information from our link. If you go to the next slide, Craig. So financial co-sponsors, Future Networks is a joint activity of several societies. All these societies up there are supporting us, all of our events, and we have representatives from all societies so that future networks can cover all aspects, different technical aspects in IEEE. And we also have technical co-sponsors, as you see in the slide. If we go to the next slide, Greg. And these were some of our main sponsors for the event. We would like to thank all of them for supporting us. And hopefully in our next events, we will have even more sponsors to support our conferences going forward. If you go to the next slide, Craig. And so these are the exhibitors. We have exhibition slides, exhibition spots as well. Again, we will have them hopefully next year as well. And these were all the ones that was supporting this year. And all attendees was able to go visit them and find out more about what they offer from IEEE or SWF companies. And here are some statistics. Actually, we have a very diverse authors from like more than 50 countries. More than 700 authors were there with our papers. And again, we have a big TPC and review team. We would like to thank them all for supporting us for this. So we had a very good content all across the World Forum. So it was very well received and very diverse as we are trying to achieve going forward. And this is a very high level overview of our program. As you can see here, we covered several aspects. We started with the keynotes all the days. Then we have symposiums, workshops. We have the INGR, which we will go like these items a bit more detailed by Eman and Narendra later today. We had tutorials for people interested. The industry forum was there. Basically, women in engineering, students, YP, they were all very well represented. We have special sessions, mentoring for them. We have additional Python training all the days, which went in parallel. So several of students and also several attendees take advantage of that. So basically in 3 days, we had several parallel sessions, hopefully covering, and there was something interesting anytime for any of our attendees. So this is the highlight of the first day of keynotes. Actually, Cypher or 23 IEEE President and CEO was able to do the first keynote, talk about what IEEE does in terms of global warming and how IEEE is addressing it. After that, Maroon was able to talk about language models. That's another hot topic. So how large language models will help telecom. Dawn was able to talk about the cybersecurity aspect. And Tiaga, he was able to talk about the Open RAN, which is another hot topic in our area, and how open source software, etc., help future networks. Up there, you see the link. Actually, all of our keynotes were recorded by our IEEE TV and also shared in our website. So please, if you're a IEEE member, which I assume you all are in this meeting, please go to that link, watch the keynotes. That's why I won't go too much in detail. We won't go talk too much about them in the webinar, but you can always feel free to watch them. So if we go to the second day, now we cover different aspects. Thomas from DoD, he's from the Future G and 5G office of the DoD. So he represented how the government and the defense and Department of Defense think of the future networks, how they look. Neda comes from the standards and technology aspects. So she covered how measurement and modeling for next G and in terms of communication sensing is happening. Khaled, he's one of our directors in IEEE as well. So he was able to talk about AI-empowered 6G networks for a full connected world. So that was definitely enhancing talk. And Matti from Finland, he also showed us how the 6G is looking from the impressions of Finland in this specific case or in general Europe. So we also have diversity in terms of regions. Actually, at the end of day 2, we also have Kathleen Kramer. We don't have this for photo, but Kathleen, or president-elect, so next year's IEEE president, was also with us. And so we were very well represented in terms of IEEE coverage. And this is day 3. We have Windsurf. I hope most of you know, he is one of the founding fathers of internet. So he shared his views on how the future of communication will be and how it will affect us. Rob was great to have in terms of industry and also how carriers think of how future networks will look like. So that was definitely another addition to our keynotes. Robert was from Keysight. He talked about the digital twins, another hot topic, and it will be more demand for more future networks developments. And last but not least, Gerard from TU Dresden, he was talking about another, I think there was many people talking about the challenge of energy usage of future 6G and further cellular communications, but Gerard was mainly focusing on that as well. So we try to cover with all these keynotes several aspects, and again, diversity across the board. So hopefully you can, any of the topics that you are interested, feel free to check the recordings. And yeah, we try to cover quite a bit of ground for this. So for this, we are trying to keep the introduction short. So I'll pass it back to Brian so Iman can talk about the rest of the details.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Emery. And with that, like you said, I'd like to pass it off now to Iman. Dr. Iman Haddad is a cybersecurity professional and interdisciplinary professional focusing on trustworthy and resilient complex systems and emerging technologies. She obtained her PhD in electrical and computer engineering from the University of Toronto. Iman combines practical experience and theoretical research to shape her vision for trusted by design digital systems. She's the director of the Innovations in Systems Trust and Reliance, or the iStar Lab. Iman's research has been published in more than 70 papers and was recognized with merit awards. Most recently, she was honored as one of Canada's top 20 women in cybersecurity. Iman is a senior IEEE member, serving as a Toronto Comstock chair and the co-chair of the IEEE 5G Security Working Group for the International Network Generation Roadmap, or the INGR. She's an active advocate for diversity and inclusion in STEM and cybersecurity. With that, I turn the floor over to you, Iman.
Thanks a lot, Brian. I'm great to be here with everybody. And like, good summary, Emery, for the keynotes. I definitely enjoyed all of them. Like, there were so many good inputs and insights for current and the future. From the technical program overview, I wanted to re-emphasize that in organizing the Future Networks World Forum, we took into account trying to be as diverse as possible, trying to create a venue for people to submit their contributions, whether in the technical tracks or the symposiums, workshops, tutorials, topicals, verticals, industry forums, and special some panels and summits. I wanted to highlight a few of those. So in the technical, in the symposiums, I wanted to highlight a few of the symposiums. We had a symposium on spectrum management and future networks that was well attended. We also had a symposium on AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning driven communication networks. On the workshops, I wanted to highlight a few of them as well. We had a workshop on future RAN architecture beyond 5G, and also we had, as Emery said, digital twins are getting more and more attention, especially as people are getting into research and practical applied research on future networks. So digital twin, we had a workshop on digital twins. We also had futuristic work that was presented in the Future Networks for Metaverse, as well as a tutorial actually that looked at bridging physical networks with virtual reality networks. Some of the tutorials were very engaging. We had one tutorial on reconfigurable intelligent surfaces for communication and radar. We also had a 5G non-terrestrial network, one that looks into the evolution towards 6G. And we had one on going from, because of the current trend on using transformer models and generative AI, we had one tutorial on going from transformer to multimodal generative AI. And we also had a good portion of future networks for forum focusing on future optical networks. And I remember from our discussions in INGR cross-working group meetings, that came as well, especially in the realm of quantum, the new phase of quantum network and quantum communication. From a workshop perspective, we had a trend in trends and emerging technology in public safety and security, for which I was the co-chair, and that went well. We also had a workshop on autonomous future networks for Industry 5.0. Now, a little bit on some of the special sessions that we had. In the 2023 version of the conference, we had two panels, like two really good panels. One of them talked about entrepreneurship and innovation, and we had like some of the really good participants in the panel, and that was very engaging. And the perspective in that panel was how we can provide vehicles to enable innovation, and as Brian mentioned, like in IEEE, we try to be not only provide the technical aspect, but be a little bit more comprehensive and address those questions from multifaceted perspective. The other panel, which was really interesting, was on automotive, the future of intelligent vehicles. And this is gaining more and more traction. I know at least in my institution, we already have like a testbed to enable studies and research and like use cases, applied use cases, and edge computing to support autonomous and intelligent vehicles. Lastly, there was a very interesting and a very engaging special event that happened in the Future Forum this year, 2023 version, which was the student organized symposia summit, where they provided tutorials on Python programming. They had their posters, they organized their poster session, and they had like a panel within that. That's the student leadership summit here. Also, in the forum, we created a venue for women engineering to listen to leaders from the industry, to have like engaging and close chats, and we had a networking event to enable that engagement. So with that, I'll hand it over back to Brian.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Iman. And now I'd like to introduce Narendra. Narendra Mangra is a principal at GlobeNet LLC and provides advisory and consulting services across industry and government and academia. His diverse experience spans strategy development, roadmap development, spectrum management, mobile network planning, and system deployments, enterprise-wide modernization, program management, and education. He's an adjunct professor at George Mason University. Narendra also leads several IEEE initiatives, such as the Future Networks, INGR, the P1950.1 Smart Cities Architecture Standards Development, Telehealth IC, and Transdisciplinary Framework IC. His current interests include comprehensive transdisciplinary frameworks, 5G and future networks, and smart communities. With that, I turn the floor over to you, Narendra.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you everyone for attending. And I will discuss as far as some of the areas that we spoke about from the INGR perspective in the Future Networks World Forum. So for those of you who are not familiar with INGR, it's essentially the International Networks Generations Roadmap, and it's a product of the Future Networks technical community. Every year, we basically issue a series of roadmaps that address different areas. We have about 14 working groups, and they target different areas, as we will see shortly. And the purpose of that is essentially to identify any risks and opportunities within the 3, 5, and 10-year period. So part of the focus is going to be looking at common needs, any challenges that we expect, and potential solutions. Different groups are engaged within the formulation of these particular roadmaps. So during the Future Networks World Forum, actually, we went through a deep dive of the 14 groups, about 30 minutes or so per working group, and including an overview in the first session. So basically, we broke it up into 5 different sessions of 1.5 hours apiece. The topics actually range, and as you will see in the next slide, across a number of different areas, such as the user community, and you will see that in the next slide where we see the different covers. Essentially, these roadmap documents are available in the Future Networks website, as well as it will be available as well for the readout later on. So basically, the next slide will show you essentially the different covers. So I'm sorry, Brian, I do not see the slides. Am I still sharing? Thank you. So essentially,
yeah, you gotta tell them next slide so we know to transition.
All right, thank you. So basically, it's broken up into 4 different categories. And so for the user access, essentially, we're looking at satellites deployment and connecting the unconnected, and that really is looking at providing access to a whole set of user segments, so whether they're rural or urban. In the network components and performance, we're looking at edge services and automation, massive MIMO, systems optimization, optics, and millimeter wave. For systems and standards, we're looking at really pushing through to provide more about economies of scale and scope. So we're looking at standardization, building blocks, test bed, energy efficiency. For services and enablers, we're more focused about enabling deployment and functionality and security. So we're looking at the security and privacy working groups, applications and services, and AI/ML. So in addition to the INGR, we do have a number of topics, as you will see in the next slide, that really speaks to the technical papers. And I'll wait for the slides to catch up. So some of the best paper awards are essentially from different areas. And the first set of papers actually comes out of Stanford University about decentralized cellular networks, where we're looking at trust-free connectivity. We also have a paper on Wi-Fi 6 and how it is used for virtual reality. And there was a case study with 1 access point and 3 head-mounted displays, and that was a paper from Spain. We also had a paper from Ericsson Research, primarily about millimeter wave beam selection and analog beam forming, as well as additional papers from Munich, where we're looking at next-G simulation and towards simulating network resource management, which is going to be something also very important. And last but not least, we're also seeing a Best Paper Award from Finland on the optimal antenna selection, on the optimal antenna beam width for UAV localization. And that is using the millimeter wave and terahertz range radars. So very interesting and very diverse set of technical papers. We do have some additional papers that we would like to mention. So these are papers that really are honorable mentions for, and these came out from different parts of the US on MIMO spatial multiplexing with an array of tilted leaky wave antennas for terahertz communications. We also have a paper also from the US on exploring wireless channels in rural areas, a comprehensive measurement study. And of course, from Canada, we have the dark side of high altitude platform systems and jamming threats towards satellites. So quite a diverse areas that we see, and from both from the roadmap community as well as from the technical papers. So thank you, and over to you, Brian.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that, and thank you all, Emory, Iman, and Narendra, for that great quick overview. And yeah, it was definitely a quick overview. You know, we had a large comprehensive program, which obviously has far more than we can cover as much as we'd like in this short discussion. But the idea is to, you know, give you a teaser, especially for those unable to make it or you know, who are considering it and thinking about it in the future. That's why we have this event. And so right now, we're going to open up to a panel discussion to, we can elaborate a little more. So please ask our presenters to, you may unmute your microphones and turn on your cameras so we can see each other. Hi. Just want to remind everyone that, please place all questions you may have in the Q&A box, not the chat. And we will, we'll address all of them as we can. And again, just as a reminder, PDF of everything that you're seeing here today will be shared with registered attendees within a week. So you don't need to pose this question. But after we, in a few minutes, we will be transitioning to going through some of those audience Q&A things. So like I said, we really encourage your participation, especially if you were unable to make it to Baltimore last year. This is your chance to, find out what you missed and all that. So anyways, yeah. Thanks guys for doing that. One thing I know I was looking at, actually, you know what, Craig, could we please pull up slide 8 that had kind of our overall statistics? As Emery mentioned when he was highlighting this, it's really great that we're not only trying to have a diverse program in terms of the technical content, but particularly in terms of our presenters, and as we encourage our attendees. Yeah, that's the one. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I thought, and I was also, really happy to see the distribution we got. I think this has, only been increasing over time. Panelists, what was your impression of being there, this time around, especially, compared to years past? And just no particular order, please, comment when you feel like commenting. All right, fine.
I guess I'll go first.
In a particular order now, then. All right, Narendra, take it away, please.
All right. So definitely a lot more diverse topics and more and more information on 6G, and there's definitely a lot of interest in different types of topics. So as Iman and Emery both discussed, we do have a different set of ranges of whether they're technical papers or they're panel discussions, but essentially they're pushing the envelope forward as far as going through to different areas. Also, a lot more participation from the different audience, a lot more selection of different types of programs. So overall, I would say significantly improved.
Thanks, Narendra. Iman, do you have a comment, please?
Yeah. So my personal observation on the keynotes and the technical sessions, I felt we, as a conference, we were in a much better position, from a futuristic perspective. We have created venues to address evolving topics in a much better way. Accepted papers certainly were improving in numbers and quality. We have seen a glimpse of the best paper awards, which are in really hot areas and working on state-of-the-art work, and their presentation itself speaks volumes. The best paper awards are from all over. It's a global representation in the conference. I want to go back into one of the questions that was in the QA and try to address it here. So I think the audience already get a sense that this future forum is a little bit more different than other conferences. And I think that question, the first question, which asked if we are able to set up an industry mentor student mentee session, speaks to our conference. I think that's doable, especially in the 2023. The Women in Engineering special event actually tried to do that. So they tried to create a micro mentorship sessions between the attendee of the Women in Engineering, and certainly with the student self-organized summit, I think we can create a space where this can be done as well.
Thanks, Iman. Actually, I wanted to comment on that question as well. So we have been organizing micro-mentoring events all across IEEE events. And that's why actually we did one session, which was called the YP micro-mentoring session. It was, I think, the second day just before the reception, where we covered both industry and academia, maybe not the industry only, but both academia and industry. We had the panel, and then we have question and answer, and it followed with the reception, which is a good part as well. So in the panel and the discussions, people get to know each other, and then reception is one of the best places to keep on with your mentoring. But this hopefully, thanks for that question, this hopefully will be something we will keep going in the all future events. Actually, yeah, also hopefully in Dubai, we will do a very good micro mentoring session, and that will be part of our future networks initiatives. And I think overall, one of the good parts of this event was IEEE leadership was very well represented. Again, our president-elect was there, several other IEEE leaders. We were also very close to the IEEE meeting series, which was in Washington, D.C., just after this event, that improved it even more. So I think it also showed several people in IEEE how Future Networks events are successful. So I think that was a very good collaboration on that as well, hopefully. And all participants was able to interact with them at the same time. So hopefully that helped, and we will have more of it going forward.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and actually one more thing I was just kind of commenting on that actually it kind of involved another input from the audience. But Craig, if we could go back to that statistics page again, please. You know, one interesting thing that observed is you know, even though this was a U.S. based event, actually the majority of our attendees, as you can see there, were European, and you know, that's pretty interesting. And I would also just kind of just pull you guys to just kind of quickly give input on the you know, well, I mean, I have my own thoughts on that, especially because, you know, a lot of the major, you know, the network operators and hardware vendors and stuff are European based. So, you know, to me, this kind of speaks to the testament of the strength of the program and everything, that we actually draw that much audience from overseas. But did you guys have any comments on that?
I would probably add to that comment, Brian, to say also the the Future Networks World Forum is also been taking place in different parts of the world. So it was in Montreal before, and in Dresden before that, and India as well. And so it has been, we do have participation and the events occurring in different parts. And I believe the next one will be held in Dubai as well.
Yep, and we'll. And by the way, everyone, well, I know you're hearing that. We will flash all this stuff up later, so you we're not just teasing you. Any other comments, questions regarding the kind of the makeup of the audience of the program? Okay, well, moving on then. I think we maybe transition to kind of more the Q&A portion, as we have lots of stuff rolling in from our audience. And one thing that I think has kind of been asked in a couple ways, and will probably might be on the minds of a lot of our audience, so maybe we can kind of address it in one fell swoop here, is basically people saying, how do I get involved? And so and to answer that question, that's also a multi-part answer. So I'm kind of going to assign you folks, I think is appropriate here. So first of all, we had a question about how we select our TPC members and reviewers. And so I'm going to direct that one to Emery. And then we also had a question essentially regarding how we get involved in the INGR, our International Network Generations Roadmap, and our working groups. So Narendra, as the, you know, one of the co-chairs of that, that'll go to you. And then Iman, I'd like you to maybe comment a little bit on, you know, people who want to get their stuff into the technical program. And you know, as you know, you covered, you know, there's a lot of different types of flavors of parts of that technical program. It's not just, you know, not just papers. So maybe you can just comment to help people understand how, if they want to get, submitting a paper versus if they want to propose like a workshop type of or tutorial input. So those are your assigned questions that we're going to cover here in one fell swoop. So Emery, take it away, sir.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I can give a first shot on this one, but Iman, I believe, is also quite involved with TPC. So if you want, you can also comment, Iman. But we are basically, I think, the general ideas. We are very open to have even more TPC members and reviewers. So feel free to reach out to us, like this year's leadership. We'll also announce next year's leadership. Come to us, and we would like to have good reviewers. So just reach out to us, and then we will enable that. Eman, do you want to comment more on how did we do this year, or how was it in general?
We follow, thanks, Emery. We follow the IEEE best practices. So in general, if you have reviewed in the past for something similar in topic, we will be able to see you through the EDAS system, and you will be able, like the chairs of the symposium or the workshop, will be able to reach out to you through EDAS, basically the IEEE tool. But as Emery said, we're very open. We're a very open community. So if you are working in a topic, I work in security. If you're working in security and you want to be part of we want to organize a topical, you want to organize a workshop, just reach out to us and put it on the table. The call for papers and workshops, I believe, will be coming, not that soon, but will be coming. So stay tuned for that, and communicate with the organizers and the chairs, and you'll be able to participate in any form that you are able to. From a TPC perspective, the workload is not as heavy because we have a huge TPC committee. So you can expect and you can ask for a load that is manageable within your duties, day-to-day duties. But we're more than happy to have you part of this.
Yeah. I think, did we lose Narendra?
I'm here.
Oh, Narendra's here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Narendra. Yeah, did you want to maybe elaborate a bit on the the INGR, and maybe actually you could take a moment too, because as we move through, it quickly may have been obvious about the especially the working group meetings that we had as kind of our one main annual face-to-face event that immediately preceded the World Forum.
Sure. So the easy part of INGR2 is to be able to join, and Brian, I know there's a slide that actually shows you the link. It's futurenetworks.ieee.org, and you can actually go in and see the how to contact the different groups as far if you're interested in a particular group. The hard part is trying to pick which ones you want. Can you hear me? It's slide 18.
Yep. Slide 18, please. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's maybe this.
Okay. He's pulling it up.
All right. So there are many different working groups that actually might be of interest to you. So we have 14 groups, and what I failed to mention earlier is there's actually going to be a 15 group and possibly others in 2024. So the new working group is actually in quantum communications. So if you go to that site, you can select any of the different groups that you would like to join, send an email, introduce yourself, and initiate, basically stipulate your interest in a particular working group or several working groups. The meeting schedules are very different for each working group. So you will need to check with the respective working groups as far as their individual bi-weekly or monthly meetings, as the case may be. We do meet periodically within each working group, and across, we may have cross-working group meetings. And as Brian mentioned earlier, we had one just prior to the World Forum, where we had basically an entire day where all of the working groups came and met and discussed areas of collaboration, areas of interest that they have mutual interest in. So we do have that. Each working group actually has different areas that they are looking at. That includes workshops, different types of conferences, different types of programs that they want to participate in, and maybe engaging external participants. So the details are there. Please contact the different working groups for the individual information. And while we're at it, may I address at least the question on the test beds?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was going to segue to it, but sure, go ahead. So while you're doing that, Craig, if you wouldn't mind taking us to, where are we? Slide. Sorry, here. Slide 17, please. Just to facilitate. So the next, and just to recognize, so this question comes to us from Uttara Swan, and he's asking if the INGR03 testbed is the same as the Future Networks testbed that was recently launched.
There are different programs, and so the testbed initiative, actually, there's a lab that they are working on, and you can go to their particular respective site to find out more information on it. The testbed working group is actually linked with the testbed initiative. There's a lot of members in the testbed working group that are actually part of the testbed initiative. So this is really the working group that really focuses as part of the INGR charter, which is essentially looking at 3, 5, and 10 year down the road to provide a technology roadmap. The testbed initiative actually goes and addresses specific areas that may or may not include digital twin. You will need to contact them directly on the specific areas that they are focusing on. But they do address, and they work with other labs across the globe, and they may have more information to share with you as far as their current and future initiatives.
And to add,
Narendra, yeah, please.
Yeah, to add, Narendra, you would approach the working group for stuff that's different than you would approach the testbed initiative. The testbed initiative is a cloud-based simulation environment that's available for any stakeholder who's interested in simulating experiments or studies related to 5G within the capabilities of the platform. So that's available to industry, academia, etc. The working group is similar within INGR. All working groups are keeping the pulse on innovation and questions and roadmap and projections for the future on topics that are related to that working group scope of work. So for the testbed working group, they're keeping like a high-level tally of where available testbeds are accessible within North America or globally, and they're also keeping track of the capabilities, the evolution of capabilities. For example, one of the things that came up are those testbeds. Do we know any testbed that's capable of supporting non-terrestrial network simulations, experiments that include that part of the network, especially with the satellite and optical? But this is how you approach those two different things for your needs specifically.
Thank you, Iman.
Yeah, thanks, Iman. Yeah, I mean, if I have myself also, if I change my hat here from a moderator to I'm also the co-chair of the Energy Efficiency Working Group. That these are fantastic. These meetings and these readouts, because we really get a chance to cross over and have discussions with each other in these respective areas, which obviously pretty much all overlap in so many ways. And just to really make clear too, these readouts, and it's not only are these materials available to you, which Craig's also put in the chat, and we've flashed up as part of the in the slide deck, but will also soon be available through IEEE Explore, as well as the recording of these readouts. And that kind of segues to something we were talking about before about getting involved. We have a question from Amir Shohail, who's saying, my expertise is with 5GC, which apologies, I don't know what the C is there. Hopefully you guys do, but they're asking what group does that fit under in INGR? And Amir, if it's not obvious to you guys what 5GC is, please clarify what the C is. Okay, you guys looked at something to me. So tell you what, we might come back to that then. Core, 5G core.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I guess I'll take a stab on this. So it really depends on your perspective for the 5G core. So for example, I would say one of the groups that probably aligns very well with you is the edge networks. So the edge services working group. But again, it depends on your particular focus. So if you're looking at the security aspects of the core, then obviously security and privacy group will be part of that. I would say probably, I'm not sure if you're looking at the AI perspective, but maybe the AI ML. But a good first stop would be edge services for you, and then you can explore other groups later on.
Yeah.
There's also optics working group if you're going into the data center aspect as well.
Thank you, Narendra. Well, Amir commented this is more into the signaling aspect. I mean, if anything, actually, tell you what, Craig, just as a reflash for Amir there is, please throw up slide 18, back to slide 18. And Amir, what we'll say to you and everyone else, right, is that, you can see these are all our working groups. So it's a lot better if you tell us where you think your expertise lies and where you're better aligned than us telling you. So you can see all the things, all the different groups that are available here. And you have access to these materials so you can dig into them more specifically. And then we encourage you all to reach out to us, whether it's there's many ways to do that with the links you see there. The individual co-chairs and their information is on this page. And so there's many mechanisms for you to reach out and figure out if you have a good fit, where you fit, and how we can integrate you.
I think that's great for everybody listening to that, right? Yeah, Brian. So yeah, please reach out. We are open to have more volunteers to drive these. So yeah, go to our website, reach out to Part, Craig, and all of us will be happy to have more people driving these working groups, because we want to make sure this is capturing all the expertise from all around the world, and we can give it back to the rest of the world so we can make this stronger. And all your volunteering is very important on that. Thanks.
That's a good point. Oh, please, I'm on.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you are short on time, we provide the write-up chapters. Each working group has a chapter, and it's updated either annually or semi-annually. But there's also an executive summary for all the chapters. So you go there first, you look at all working group, what everybody's working on, their projections, roadmap. And from there, it's this is your direction. And from there, if you want to go ahead and read the more detailed chapter, please do. The other thing, our meetings, our working group each working group meets either weekly or bi-weekly, or some of them, very few meet monthly.
Or monthly.
Yeah. So what you can, and those meetings are open, they're not exclusive to the attendees. So what you can do is reach out to the chair, find out when the meeting is, and you can join the meeting and get a sense of what the working group is working on, and ask your questions there and live with the working group members.
And we are even open to more working groups. If there's strong suggestions to start them, we are happy to support it in the right way. So again, feel free, anybody listening to this webinar after as well, feel free to reach out to us. We want to make this program a very strong offering of future networks to the rest of the world.
Yeah, and Narendra, you had a comment too, please?
Yeah, I just basically piggybacking on both Emre's and Iman's comments. So specifically to your question on the 5G core, your first stop could be edge services to see if that you have anything in alignment. And for future working groups, as I mentioned before, there is quantum communications now, but there may be a potential for additional working groups that are looking towards converged systems. So that may be a potential working group for you based on signaling. Obviously, this is not to replicate any of the work of 3GPP or for any of the signaling work there, but this may be a bit different flavor for different types of networks, whether they're DOCSIS or fiber or basically wireless systems. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. And to the point too, the other theme, hopefully you guys are getting out of this, right, is a very open community, and especially since it's volunteer driven. you know, we know that, you know, everyone's not just showing up for the paycheck, but the ability to contribute to something important, as well as, you know, make their own good work known to the world. So, like you said, whether it's inputs to individual groups or even if there's enough momentum to start new groups, as we mentioned too, there's a new one coming out starting this year, the Quantum Group. And that kind of leads to another input we had from the audience, from Uttara Sawan, kind of getting back to the point about mentoring sessions. He was asking about virtual mentoring sessions, and he wants to know if that seems like something that's possible. So, and by the way, and I know everyone's like, well, hold on, we're not committing anything here. No, but this is just an open discussion on, you know, it's an interesting proposal. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, actually, in IEEE, I was one of the people driving that as well. We had this mentoring events all in the conferences across IEEE, and now we have the like within Corbatech, we have a mentor program. Also, young professionals are driving a mentoring program going through. So as future networks, we can definitely take advantage of those and make it like virtual. Basically, if you are in the conference, you're already lucky to meet people. We can give you further mentoring, but we want to reach out to more people around the world. So definitely virtual mentoring will be part of it as we move forward with our leadership. Actually, IC5Z is also in the call, and we will hopefully drive that as part of our initiatives going forward, so that more people can take advantage of the expertise or leaders have, and we can distribute to the young generation and other contributions. So definitely part of the plans.
That's great. Thanks, Amit.
And I guess I could also, while not addressing the mentoring specifically, but the education portion of INGR actually looks at different sets of education sessions. So if you're looking for subject matter knowledge about a particular topic, that may be an area also you would like to explore. And of course, participation in any of the related groups. So it could be anything related to industry connections, for example, or in the YP program, there was an example of 6G in agriculture. So there are different ways for you to participate to broaden your knowledge base. So it's not specifically a response to your mentoring question, but if you're looking for broadening your knowledge base and engaging with professionals, that may be a different way as well.
Yeah, thank you, Narendra. And by the way, Amir said also thanks for the suggestion. He's going to check out the EDGE working group. So see, the system works. Okay. You know, and actually, another question here as we, you know, as we wind this down, you know, Uttara makes a point about, you know, we talked about a lot of the higher percentage of papers coming from Europe, but he says that you know, the Europe market is not matching up to 6G landscape. So how can our conferences help to bridge this gap and call for more of the telco operators and vendors to contribute? Which, you know, I would argue they do, and then we will on that point, when you guys are when we're done discussing this, will be a perfect segue to the 2024 World Forum. So tell you what, actually, while we're doing that, Craig, why don't you go to slide 23 so we can tease everyone with that while our panelists discuss this this call to action that Uttara has presented to our panel and our community. Anyone who would like to pick that one first, right? How does our event help you know, bridge the gap between the market and the individual contributors and whatnot?
So I can take a stab at that. I think like what we see from the Dresden version, from Future Networks to 2023 Baltimore version, the participation from Europe is evident, and they take a different perspective into 5G and 6G. We might have the perception that they're not going there from a career perspective, but they have the lead in private 5G networks to support manufacturing and industry on the floor. So I think we should in general they have a different approach than our approach. That does not mean they're behind or ahead. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing, which I would to address in the question, how can IEEE activities in general, not just like Future Network, drive innovation and adoption of technology? And this is what we do with conferences in general. So if we're looking at the next version of Future Networks, I would like to see a symposium on quantum networks, but not necessarily the old optical version, but the new version, right? So that will open the conversation open the venue for people to discuss, bring into participation what they're doing, what they're thinking, all of that stuff. So this is how typically IEEE drives innovation. This is how we address the gaps between what's happening in research and development, theoretical, applied, etc. So you create a venue, and this is part of what Brian does as well with his monthly webinars. We try to bring into the spotlight, this is what's happening from different perspectives. So I think your question is actually as if you're actually directly addressing what we do as IEEE within our activities. This is what we do, right? That's what I wanted to say, but I want to reemphasize, I think innovation happens in different ways. So keep that in mind when you try to assess what's happening in different geographies.
All right, I think that was an excellent assessment, Aman, and especially as we're coming here to the end of our time. I think that is a great way to close this out. So as we are closing this out, just again want to thank our panelists. Great panel, great comments. We had a lot of ground to cover today, and hopefully you guys all got a teaser. But thanks again, Emery, Aman, and Narendra for a great inputs and discussion. And thanks to everyone on the call for joining us today. Yeah, let's transition to the last slide there. Well, excuse me, I should just specifically highlight, actually, let's go back one. Just to highlight again, make it clear. So if you want to see what you missed and more, and you prefer to get the full-on experience, please join us later this year in Dubai in October for the 2024 World Forum. And with that, if we can transition to the last one there. Thank you very much. So, and thanks everyone for joining on the call today. As you can see, we always have plenty of insightful topics already in the works for this year. So, please be sure to keep an eye out for announcements and for upcoming stuff. And as you can see, coming up next month, we have Rajiv Shori talking to us about security considerations for mobile edge computing. And then in March, we'll be followed by Taha Sajid from Comcast talking to us about ORAN security. And again, a lot of this is born right out of the program from the Future Networks World Forum they heard about today, including next month's talk from Rajiv. So we hope to see you all in Dubai then. Please refer to our web portal, futurenetworks.ieee.org, for any updates and to register for future webinars. To get on the email list that announces upcoming Future Networks and 5G and beyond webinars, just join the IEEE Future Networks technical community and look for a Join the IEEE Future Networks technical community button on the upper right-hand side of the web page, or filling in the webinar sign-up sheet on the main web page. On the main webinar page. With the advent of GDPR, joining the Future Networks technical community is the best way to get on the email list for upcoming Future Networks and webinars. So again, that's futurenetworks.ieee.org. A quick reminder to please fill out our short survey, which will be sent after the close of today's event, as well as emailed to all registered attendees. Please note that completing this survey is necessary to access any webinar recordings or PDFs, which again will be sent to all registered people, thanks to our speakers' permission, along with the survey info. The survey is a less than 5-minute exercise with the sole goal of seeking your good thoughts and insights to continue to improve our webinars. So with that, we thank you again for joining us, and on behalf of the entire Future Networks technical community team, have a great day, a great evening, and stay safe and healthy out there. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.